The following program contains mature subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
For the 5th consecutive year, cases of sexually transmitted infections have risen in the United States. Cases of gonorrhea, chlamydia, and syphilis all up. And let's not even begin to talk about all the health consequences. Obviously, you can have the physical symptoms, genital rashes, itches, other uncomfortable symptoms. But we know STDs can also be potentially deadly. They can cause infertility, and drug-resistant cases of things like gonorrhea also on the rise. And so there are so many elements to this beyond quite frankly, there's the other element of shame when you discover that you have a sexually transmitted infection. It's so awkward, all the conversations around it. And what we'd like to talk about right now is a little bit regarding those conversations, because the idea of getting one, that's scary. But maybe more scary in some ways is having the STI talk with a new partner. How do you have that awkward conversation? Certified sex educator Dr. Logan Lefkoff has the answer for us via Skype. Okay, so Dr. Lefkoff, how do you broach that subject?
Well, I think it's first changing the language, that it's not about being a victim. It's not about shame and stigma. Look, people get STIs, and it's not a measure of their character or cleanliness or some other sort of fear and shame-based message that we often give people. Taking and talking about STIs is actually a sign of a good partner and responsibility. And when you're ready to take that leap, and when you think your relationship is going into a direction where you might be intimate, you don't have to do this right from the start because you haven't earned someone's trust and vice versa yet. But you can say, look, I really like you, and I know that this is going in another direction, and I hope it does, but I want to be responsible and thoughtful. So have you ever been tested, or should we get tested together? And the truth is, if someone recoils or has a really nasty reaction, well, then they might as well be wearing a neon sign that says, don't have sex with me.
Well, Dr. Lefkoff, it's a really good point. Because in some ways, that's a relationship test in and of itself. If somebody is recoiling at that conversation, is this somebody that you even want to get into a partnership with them, any level, right? So that
Definitely not.
So I have this story, my personal story with my husband, who is a physician. When we were talking about getting sexually intimate, he actually voluntarily showed me his papers, which, I mean, I love him for that because I wanted to see them, but he showed it to me without me asking. And then I realized that they were a little outdated because they were from a year ago. So I said, you know, why don't you maybe just get them updated? And he said, fine. And actually, he then got them updated and showed me the papers again, voluntarily. And actually, that was very nice for me because I just wanted to, I like proof, I like documentation.
Well, did you show him your papers too?
Of course.
Okay,
yes.
there you go.
He had it on his phone, which is really weird.
It takes two to tango.
Like, why was it like
well,
so at
he's
the
a
ready?
doctor. He got the lab results.
I do need to caution people out there, and this is important. There are some sexually transmitted infections where there can be a lag period. If you've been exposed, it may not show up positive on your lab work.
You know, such a difficult discussion with herpes because, I mean, there is no cure, and you're going to have, at least for now, until we come up with a vaccine, you're going to have it forever. That is a tough conversation. Because it's tough, I can see a lot of people trying to just bury that, and you know, maybe you'll wear condoms, but then a point will come where you're not going to wear the condom, and then you're going to have to explain things. So
and
again, you've got to be up front from the get-go.
And you raise a really great point, because chlamydia, gonorrhea, theoretically, an antibiotic should resolve that infection. But when it comes to things like herpes simplex, HIV, HPV, which
hepatitis,
you know, these are things that you may have for life. And having that conversation, because you're so spot on. If you don't have communication at the beginning of your relationship, trust is destroyed for the rest of it. So there should be no shame in having the conversation, and it's important to be transparent. I love how you approach this, Dr. Lefkoff. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.